I'm Bonnie Curry. It's another episode of From the Couch. I've got a couple of the fellas from 10th Avenue North. I'm glad you guys are here. Would you introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm Jeff.
My name is Mike, and Jeff's mustache is named Ralph.
You know what? Can we talk about your mustache? I mean, really and truly.
Absolutely.
So when was that decision made to begin growing that?
Not soon enough.
Not that long ago, as you can tell. Actually, my wife one morning said, "You should grow a mustache," and I was like, "Okay."
Okay.
Which
Let's
is
see.
my personal dream
Right.
as a man that my wife would say that to me.
Right.
So everybody's like, "Hey, as long as the wife approves,
Yeah.
you're good." I'm
Have
like,
you thought going like truly like the real mustache where you can curl it up, like do the
"No,"
handlebars?
because I mean,
There's competitions about that. You could
you
win.
know, I'm 36. I needed a new way to decorate my face, but I don't want it to be like that much of a distraction. I don't want my whole life to revolve around the stash.
Okay.
That's what kind of happens with
Okay.
people with those kinds of.
Well, it seems like your bandmate is super fixated on it right now. So yeah.
As you can tell, there's a
Is there
level
some
of
jealousy, perhaps?
maybe.
You know what? Maybe that's what we're discussing from the couch about. How does it make you feel? How does his stash
is-
make
yeah, it's
you
really
feel
about me.
deep inside?
Just
Deep inside.
bitterness,
Bitterness.
and anger.
Right.
There was actually a time we did these playing cards as a band, and the professor was my character on these playing cards. It was a silly idea.
Long story.
But I shaved the rest of my beard and like grew out my stash, and I was only doing it for a picture on a card.
Right.
And my wife was having none
of that,
I mean,
yeah.
as soon as I took the picture, she's like, "You shave that off right now."
Wow.
Zero.
Seconds
She
into
has
it.
a zero stash tolerance. So
How is
She
she
just-
feeling about this? Because this is happening. I mean, does she know that you're currently, sporting this stuff?
she likes this.
Oh,
but
okay.
for whatever reason, if I did that, she hates me.
Okay.
But
I
that
saw her at the
she loves
coffee
me.
shop a few days ago, and she complimented my mustache.
It's because
This
There's
is
another
a
man,
deeper,
another
This
stash.
is a whole conversation that maybe I don't have to be a part of
just
this
me.
right now. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
this might be a new episode of From the Couch is how do we feel about our stash with 10th Avenue North? And more importantly, how do our wives feel about it? Can we get them on the phone? Can we hook them up and say, how do you feel about each other's stashes?
yes, all that is possible.
None of that
Mine
is
is
gonna
confident in my stash.
Great.
More importantly, just sort of going to make that transfer from mustaches to a book. I mean, again, I'm cracking up about all the things you guys have got cooking right now outside of the magnificent mustache that he's sporting. I'm just going to say it. It's
you know,
true.
the album makes a little more sense. We got a new album called No Shame.
You do.
And that,
Gonna circle
the
back
mustache
around to his stash. Gonna circle back around to the
let's
stash
just
right
keep
now.
it on the
Okay,
stash.
okay.
Actually, I started growing it like the week before.
The record came out.
Yeah, I started growing it. It sounds like I have a plant.
This is a
Anyway, there's a
metaphysical.
new album, so these guys are singers.
a metaphysical
and they like to
representation.
sing songs and stuff like this, and so they have a new album. So why they're arguing about the stash and about the new album that apparently revolves around stashes. Other than the stash,
Stash is
what
an extension.
Is an extension of that. Tell me about the new album. What can people expect from it
Okay, yeah.
outside of the
What can they
stash?
expect? Expect the unexpected.
It's called No Shame. So you got to find the metaphysical representation of your shame
Right.
and say no to it. So
Right.
his was a stashless face, and he said, "No more of that. I'm going to grow the stash. No shame."
But
Trying
that's an
desperately
external
to get it back
representation.
on track.
no shame. We wrote this record about what do we as a band, what are we communicating to
Yeah.
people? I mean, this is our 6th full length record, I think, and we were wrestling with what do we have left to say?
Yeah.
Does anybody still want to hear what we have to say?
Yeah.
How do we, because you can easily repeat yourself or write things that
Right.
don't mean that much to you, and I think we sort of found our calling in a sense.
Yeah, kind of like changing the question from, if we're honest, when we first started, it was like, how can we be the most popular band?
Right.
We were really selfish.
Singing about things we care about and we believe are true, and redemption and Jesus and grace, but then we kind of got more specific and said, okay, let's forget about how popular we can get and let's really kind of zero in on what our purpose is. And when I look back on all our records, it was kind of glaring. I mean, guys, I've written the word shame into almost every song we've ever written. It's
Why?
kind of wild. I don't know. I didn't even realize it. And I think it's because just over the years when we first got started, I just have accumulated this massive index of messages from people who over and over, I would say probably 400 or 500 messages I have
Wow.
of people going, I need to confess to someone but I've never been able to tell anyone this because no one around me I feel safe enough to tell.
Wow.
And they tell me. I'm like, why are you telling me? And it's really shifted my heart that I want to reopen the invitation to people who feel like the gates of the church have been shut on them.
That's a real thing. I mean, look, I'm not saying that I believe that the world is any more dark today than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. I will say, though, that as connected as we are with, social media and things like this, I have heard from so many people that say, I feel so disconnected from everybody. I feel so alone. I'm facing problems that I don't think anybody understands, and I can't say anything about it because, of course, we don't tell the truth on social media. That would be a mistake. And even inside of our churches, that there are so many people that can walk into a church and you've got the perfect button down, you got your skinny jeans, you're rocking those out, and everybody feels like you look the part. But does anybody know I'm battling alcoholism? Or maybe I have an issue with opioids. I mean, that is a crisis right now. It's devastating, and it is inside the church. And we don't really want to talk about those things because they're shameful. It's making us not perfect. And I just find it fascinating that you guys have centered around an issue that I think so many people are dealing with in their lives. So what would you say to somebody who might be watching right now that says, okay, seriously, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now and I'm ashamed of something in my life? What would you say to them?
I think I'd start by saying shame is actually a gift. So it lets you know something's wrong. Because a lot of people would be like, hashtag no shame. I mean, our record is called No Shame, but it would have been better to call it no toxic shame. Because shame is actually a gift when like, hey, I realize I'm not God, or I do have a problem, I do have a struggle, and there is this shame that comes upon us. But if we don't respond and start making a healthy move from shame,
Right.
then we end up making an unhealthy move. And that shame that was meant to like push us into community and ask for help and admit we were wrong, all those things. Instead, we either we fortify and we totally resist intimacy. We say, no shame. I'll do whatever I want. I shouldn't even. Or we go, I'm actually so terrible. It's not even a point to reach out.
Right.
And that's toxic shame. And toxic shame is kind of that voice that says in your head, you're unredeemable. And that's when we say no shame, we mean no more toxic shame that says you're too needy, you're too much, or that you're unredeemable. Because in the kingdom of God, there's no such thing.
There's times where you ask somebody, how are you doing? Man, if that answer comes up, I'm not okay. Oh my goodness. Have you guys ever been walking past somebody, you're like, hey, how's it going? And they actually throw down like the real words of, I'm kind of not okay. And you're still doing that walking, we're like, oh no, I don't want to do this. But it's okay to take a couple of steps back and go, let's do this. Okay, I got you. Let's talk. Come here. I'm here. I'm here for you.
To bring it back to my book, I have a chapter called Embracing the Ministry of Interruption, and how most of us don't experience God or feel like we're being used by God, often because the opportunities God hands us feel like interruptions to what else we got going on. And how the thing that impresses me most with Jesus is how most of the stories we have in the gospel is him being interrupted while he was going to do something else.
Constantly.
So he's like trying to heal.
Touched me.
He's trying to heal Jairus' daughter. You got a bleeding woman pulling out his coat.
Yeah.
You've got him orating and people getting lowered through the ceiling.
Yeah.
And yet
dude's in a tree. That's got to be weird.
Instead of resisting, he embraces what's right in front of him. And I love what Mother Teresa said. They said, how do you keep taking care of these lepers and all these people? And she said, whatever I do to the least of these, I do unto Jesus. Most of us miss it, though, because Jesus can wear some pretty distressing disguises.
Oof.
And how it's like that annoying dude at the water cooler at your work is Jesus in disguise. So.
Or it's just a really annoying guy at the water cooler.
Yeah, it could be. But who needs to be embraced?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Have you seen my stapler? Pretty teammate.
I love Office Space so much. But you know what? That guy, I felt badly for that guy. I really did.
No,
I felt what a
absolutely.
sad individual. And again, you watch that show and you just kind of go, that guy needed some love in his life. He
And he burned down the building.
He did burn down the building.
And
so,
all he needed was a friend.
So he needed a friend. So, okay. So here's what we've learned from a little time on the couch with my friends 10th Avenue North. There's a lot of issues between the two of them and mustaches. And I think we're just going to let them just kind of work that out and maybe contact their wives with a hashtag, I'm so sorry. That we've also realized that those interruptions are good. And maybe there's people that are a little bit unlovable, a lot annoying that really could use your time and a lot of Jesus in their lives. Yeah. And that you guys are way busy. You guys are way busy. And so new book is coming out, got a new album coming out. And I am super glad that you guys took a couple of minutes to hang out with me here.
It's lovely.
Thanks, Bonnie.
All right. So another episode of From the Couch with some mustaches. I'm Bonnie Curry. Love you.